On behalf of the Indiana Buddhist Center, the Center for Interfaith Cooperation, and Compassionate Indy, and to our friends from Tibet, Tashi Dalek, welcome. Also knowing that it is the holy month of Ramadan, I wish to honor those who are celebrating with Ramadan Mubarak. We are all gathered here together, people of many faiths, to hear from one of the great spiritual leaders of our time, the Dalai Lama. Your Holiness, you are most welcome here. We are so happy to have you back in Indianapolis.
Thank you.
I'm Congresswoman Susan Brooks, and I represent Indiana's 5th Congressional District, which is a diverse district of suburban, rural, and urban counties, including the north side of Indianapolis. I know how important it is to have world leaders in our world, like the Dalai Lama, who are a force for compassion, for reconciliation, and for meaningful engagement with our neighbors. His efforts have been recognized by countries all over the world. He's been the recipient of hundreds of high honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize for his nonviolent struggle for the people of Tibet, and the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest award given by the United States of America, for his leadership as a man of faith, sincerity, and peace. As I was preparing for today, I came across a quote of His Holiness from Indianapolis Star in 2008. And he said, "Whenever it occurs, poverty is a significant contributor to social harmony, ill health, suffering, and armed conflict. We require not only compassion for those who suffer, but also a commitment to ensuring social justice." I was struck by this idea that we're all responsible to take meaningful action to improve our communities and our society, and to make sure that people in our cities, our states, our country, our world have the opportunity and resources to achieve their potential. Our action to improve the lives of those around us can and will make a positive difference in our own lives as well as in our global community. The Dalai Lama has shared this inspiring message for many decades, and his extraordinary impact on our world is evidenced by the presence of so many of us here today. By his words and the example of his life, the Dalai Lama inspires us to see that even in desperate circumstances, compassion is always possible, and action is indeed more powerful than words. Your Holiness, thank you for the honor of your presence, the gift of your wisdom. Everyone, please join me in welcoming His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Come on, nice area.
No, shouldn't you?
What is she?
Shouldn't you?
Ah,
Shouldn't you?
I'm not she. Oh. Some my friend coming. Hello, 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 hello. Brothers and sisters, indeed, I'm very happy and great honor meet large number of people. Essentially, we all human brothers, sisters. Then particularly here, say, people from different faith. I very much appreciate. One of my commitment is promotion of religious harmony. I always say, make clear, India over 2,000 years. Oh, your father? Oh. 이제 his son, since many years, my close friend. And this morning he mentioned me, he wanted to bring his father, meet me. So of course, I'm very happy. Actually, Matt, father is quite fat. Son, thin. So, last more than 57 years, India is my second home. Then I noticed in India, it's over 2,000 years, beside homegrown different religious tradition, there is Sangha philosophy, and then Jain philosophy, then Buddhist philosophy or spirituality. These are homegrown. Then from outside, ancient time from Parsi, Iran, the Zoroastrian come to India. And now today, in Bombay, the Zoroastrian community, less than 100,000. But they carry their own sort of spiritual practice without any fear. From such small community, I think significant Parsi people made some significant contribution regarding India's economy in many other fields. And also, I think one of famous field marshal, Manekshaw, I think come from Parsi community. So, Zoroastrian religion, very ancient one. And then Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So these, almost since then, I think India is home of all major religious tradition live together. And then Sikhism. Sikhism, the Guru Nanak, Guru Nanak, I think the Hindu background, but he tried to show other spiritual brothers, sisters, non-sectarian principle. For that reason, he took pilgrimage to Mecca. So therefore, that most populated nation, most populated democratic nation, India, over 1,000 years, religious harmony there. So it must be possible. Rest of the world, religious harmony, I think very possible. So we have to if you see some completely sort of new sort of thinking or something, then difficult. But as far as religious harmony is concerned, already one country over 1,000 years kept that till today. Of course, occasionally some problems, in the name of different religious tradition. But that's understandable. I usually say telling the over 1 billion populated nation, some mischievous people must be there. Whole India, not heaven. still part of the world. So there must be some mischievous people. So some problem here and there is understandable. But overall, I think religious harmony in India is, I think, really living example. So I fully committed promotion of religious harmony. So now here, many, I say, the spiritual brothers, sisters, come here. I really appreciate. Thank you. And then, basically, all major religious traditions carry same message, in spite of different concept or different philosophical views, but all carry same message of love, message of forgiveness, message of tolerance, message of contentment, simplicity. Many genuine practitioners follow of these different traditions. Their personal life very simple, and they dedicated serving for others. Wonderful, wonderful. And then the teaching of self-discipline.
Wow.
So these all major religious traditions carry same. So that's the basis of our harmony. And there's a different philosophy. Some say there is creator. Some say no creator. Yes, fundamental differences. But all these different philosophical views, same purpose, to strengthening our practice or our conviction, the value of compassion, forgiveness, tolerance. So, different philosophy, just a different method, but same goal. A different method is necessary. Over 2,000 years, it's a different place, it's a different environment. So, naturally, people at different places, some differences on their mental disposition. So, therefore, accordingly, the great teachers in different places, different time, need different way of approach. So, if we realize that all different tradition, different philosophy, and the fundamental differences, but same purpose and necessity in order to satisfy a variety of people. So indeed, I'm very, very happy talk in the presence of these different spiritual brothers, sisters. That it seems to some people, I think from local tradition, isn't it? No.
Native tradition.
Native tradition. Native tradition. No. Okay. So then, at the beginning, I will talk some I believe. And these come from my own experience and also watching today's world. So after that, I would like to take questions. So today, more or less, this is for this time. Now this is the last public talk. So I would like to take more questions and some critical questions or some criticisms. More serious criticism come, then I have to defend. So you see, question and answer, you see, for me, it's also, you see, way to get education. Different questions come. I never come across such question. That brings me, I have to think seriously. So very helpful. And then also audience, those questioners, you can ask, it's a certain your personal interesting. And if may I say so, a question, hopefully not a silly question. Silly question come, my answer also should be silly. So then, waste of time. So now, as I mentioned, as I begin, use the word brothers, sisters. I feel that's important. Now, today's world, we really need sense of brotherhood, sisterhood. On the basis, 7 billion human beings are actually same humanity, same human being. So we need oneness of 7 billion human beings. If we develop sense of oneness of humanity, human being, 7 billion human being, then hardly no basis to kill each other. And so was the gap rich to poor. And sometimes you see too much discrimination on color, on class, different class, or rich and poor. These actually man-made
Distinctions.
a distinction or problem. So now killing. I think it is unthinkable to these days, killing human brothers, sisters in the name of different religious faith. Unthinkable. All, as I mentioned earlier, all major world religious traditions carry same message. Love, compassion, forgiveness, like that. So this clearly shows people who simply claim themselves, oh, I'm Buddhist, I'm Muslim, I'm Christian, I'm Jews, so on. But in deep inside, lack of conviction about value of compassion. So we superficially take religious faith. So sometimes I mention, when we say, my religion, then in deep inside, you are higher than religion. Me, is the superior religion. Yeah. So then, the superior I, mentally much disturbed. Or then that person use even religion for conflict. So all these, we are lacking seriousness about the essence of all different religious traditions' message, teaching. So now, whether we accept religion or not, up to individual. Once you accept religion, we should be serious. We should be sincere. So these days, I also is mentioning the very word Muslim terrorist. I think wrong word. Or similarly, I think in Burma, sometimes you see people call Buddhist terrorist. So we also member of terrorist. So these, I think, wrong word. Terrorist is terrorist. Any person who indulge killing or terrorist activities or action, no longer if someone who come from Muslim community, but carry action of terrorist, that person no longer genuine Muslim. So similarly, in Burma, this is sometimes This is some newspaper. This is a few years ago. I noticed this is Time magazine. On cover, one Buddhist monk described Buddhist terrorist. So at that time, someone used to ask me about that event, my sort of reaction. So then I expressed, yes, it is very sad. But I wish those monks who involve some harassment to Muslim brothers, sisters, and should visualize Buddha's face. Then, at such sort of condition, such situation, if Buddha come, he certainly protected these Muslim brothers, sisters, no question. So therefore, people who indulge in these awful actions are actually not genuine believer. Okay. So the word, the Muslim terrorist or Buddhist terrorist, this I think wrong word. And I think each religion we should sort of add terrorist. So Buddhist terrorist, Muslim terrorist, Christian terrorist, Hindu terrorist, or Jew terrorist. So then people may feel, oh, better without religion. So I think people who make the media report, I think be careful. I feel better to avoid use Muslim terrorist or Buddhist terrorist. This I think not good. And then public who have not much sort of sufficient knowledge, then they get the impression, oh, whole Muslim is something militant. And also Buddhism, something militant. So that's I feel, this is something serious. So these days I'm expressing that. So now my main point is, all major world religions exist among the humanity, not other animal or other different
species,
form of life. Why? We human beings, since immemorial,
since long time back,
biologically, we come from our mother. We received maximum affection from our mother, from parent, particularly from our mother. So in our life, love, compassion is the key factor for the healthy development. Or you see, in order to be a happy human being, key factor is not money, not power, not just a mere education, but warm-heartedness, because our life starts that way. Now scientists also say basic human nature is more compassionate. And also person or people who constantly experience fear, anger, is actually eating our immune system. So this destructive emotion is very bad for our health. So just 2 weeks ago, when I came here, I spent one night at London. So at
Heathrow
Heathrow Airport, some of my friends used to come. And then one friend asked me, oh, your face, in spite 81-year-old age, your face looks like in 60s or early 70s. Then he asked me, what's your secret? Then I jokingly respond to him, Oh, that's my secret. I do not want to share it with you. Then I mentioned, see, my life, quite sort of turbulence way,
Complicated.
complicated man, because of the difficult life. Age at 16, I lost my freedom. Age 24, I lost my own country. And over 50 years, a lot of problem. And quite often, heartbreaking news from Tibet. Meantime, I think 99% Tibetan trust me, hoping me. I have nothing can be done. So there's a lot of sort of, because of that, a lot of sources of worry or discourage. But my mind, see, firstly, practice of altruism, particularly practice of altruism towards troublemaker. Very, very helpful. You see, that practice, you see, no sort of help, actual problem
On the ground.
on the ground. But as far as peace of mind is concerned, very, very helpful. Some kind of closeness feeling or compassionate attitude to your friend is something normal. The compassionate feeling towards your enemy, troublemaker, is, I think, we human being, only human being, and also some sort of,
Through training.
or say through certain philosophical views. Only we human being can do that. Other, no. So therefore, I told them, oh, that's my secret. I always keep compassionate mind. Is that really immense help, peace of mind. Then nowadays, doctors, they say, healthy body, in order to have healthy body, healthy mind is very, very important factor. So I told them, so peaceful mind, compassionate mind, is to help my face a little bit quite
Younger.
young. And practice of compassion failed to bring my knees. That's something different. Even medication also not very effective. About 2 years ago, I met one German specialist about his knees. And he checked. Then he told me, oh, your physical condition is excellent. But then this problem, he told me, oh, you are not 18 years old person, but 80-year-old person. So cannot do much. Like that. So otherwise, I think my brain, there is no sign of old age, right?
No, aging yet.
Quite sharp, quite alerted. So all this, you see, out of practice of love, compassion, it's an unbiased compassion, unconditional sort of love. So these really very helpful. So therefore, all major religious tradition, you see, consider to human being, love, compassion is very, very useful, important. Therefore, all major religious tradition of human being, all emphasis the importance of love and compassion. Now today's reality, out of 7 billion human beings, according to some report, over 1 billion non-believer. These also human brothers, sisters. Then also, as I mentioned earlier, among the around 6 billion believers, there are some mischievous believer or a little bit stupid kasada believer. These due to lack of conviction about value of these teaching, or mainly compassion, forgiveness, these things. So therefore, we really need, one method which can cover all 7 billion human beings, irrespective whether believer or non-believer. So in India, I think 1,000 years is a certain sort of concept, the caring, love or compassion or respect, indiscriminately, believer or non-believer. In India, they usually, some Indians, use the word of secular. So India's constitution itself is based on secularism. So, but in the West, the very word, among the Indian also, some, my friend, some scholars, they also told me, within in India, also the meaning of secular is still controversial, like that. So in any way, according to Indian understanding about secular means, respect all religions and also respect non-believer. So we need one-way approach to promote these deeper human value, that is compassion, not relying on religious belief, but more universal approach, mainly based on scientific research, scientific finding, then our common experience and a common sense. So actually, with full cooperation with some scientists, well-known scientists, such as Richard Davidson and so on, and also some educationists, last few years, we seriously thinking, how to carry through education to make clear to people the importance of our inner value. So now, almost the drafting curriculum, almost now, because of that. Prepared. No, still we need
refinement.
Refinement. And as a matter of fact, just this morning, we seriously discussed like that. So therefore, we really need one-way approach the education about warm-heartedness, not relying on the religious approach. So now here, as I mentioned before, sense of oneness of humanity. I think the reality also now telling us, like climate sort of change, no differences of national boundary or different continent. I think if the weather condition become very serious, United States cannot escape like that. And then global economy, no national boundary. So that's today's reality. Unlike the ancient time. Ancient time, not only different continent, but even nation to nation, or even within the nation, community, more or less self-sufficient. Now today's world, not like that. Heavily interdependent. East world depend on the West. Western world, future depend on East. Like Northern world, Southern world, heavily interdependent, interconnectedness. And then the terrible, unthinkable sort of event, killing human brothers, sisters. Now I think this very moment, see, we are here, enjoy peaceful, joyful sort of atmosphere. But same planet, same human being, some other places, killing, suffering, and facing starvation. So we cannot sort of ignore, we cannot remain indifferent. So we have to think, we have to work. So therefore, now here, I think few thousand people here, you see, we are part of the humanity. So well-being of humanity, each of us have the responsibility. Then from selfish viewpoint, individuals' happy life depend on rest of the community. Then today's reality, whole world community is our own community, something like that. So therefore, even from the selfish viewpoint, we have to take seriously about the well-being of 7 billion human beings. And with that sense of responsibilities, sense of global responsibility, you see, how to start? From United Nations? From White House? No. We individuals. We have to start one individual. Firstly, you create inner peace, which is a result of, as I mentioned earlier, compassion. So I think the main destroyer of peace of mind is fear, frustration, anger, jealousy. So these, the mentally antidote of that, compassion, sense of concern of others' well-being. Once that develop, fear reduce. Usually you see fear from this flower, no. Fear from some articles,
Objects.
no.
Objects.
Oh, fear, animal, yes, occasionally. One time, I have one experience in South Africa. So I have been some
Safari.
bush area.
Safari.
Oh, some elephant is coming, approaching. And also some bison or some lango.
Because bulls. No.
Bulls. So,
Wild buffalo, actually.
Oh.
Buffaloes.
so we some fear from such animal, but mostly fear from our brothers sisters, and most time the anger also is towards our human brothers sisters. So therefore, if we keep genuine sense of concern of their well-being, and others is source of my future, or because of basis of my happy future, then there is no room to develop fear. And distrust is the source of fear. You see, loving kindness, you see, bring trust. Trust bring friendship. That reduce fear, anger, frustration. That's a psychological sort of system like that. So therefore, so the key thing is we should pay more attention about our inner value. So individual try to keep more warm-heartedness, and then share with your friend. For example, 10 friends. Then each person, you see, share their own friend. That means 100. Through that way, 1,000, 100,000, like that. So the change of humanity must start from individual. So sometimes I also feel, huge problem. I cannot do much. Then I think I'm one of the human beings. So try to change ourselves, myself, then share with more people. That's the way change, firstly, your own family, your own area. That way, eventually, the whole world. So I really feel this beginning of 21st century, if we just satisfy our usual way of life, and mainly through existing education system, I think this 21st century also will be more century of miserable. Look, 21st century.
20th
I know, 20th century. Lot of killing, lot of violence. So some historians say over 200 million people killed. And then once war takes place, then the effect of that war remains several decades in the European continent. You see, I met a lot of people who really, when they telling me their stories, their sort of their experiences during war, after war. So therefore, war is man's creation, not by weapon. So now these days, people here in this country, a lot of talking about gun control. Real gun control start from here. Then many places you see people say, world peace, world peace. World peace must achieve through inner peace, not through anger, not through hatred. Impossible. So sometimes I jokingly telling, you see, for world peace, few pigeons release. Silly. Immediately some disturbance, those pigeons. Otherwise, you see, the war or violence we created. The solution, that violence, or put hope on pigeon. Illogical. And also, similar sort of concept, I also, you see, telling people, expressing. One time in Hiroshima, say, some Nobel laureate meeting. So, the others of Nobel laureate, they mentioned with the blessing of God, of Buddha, peace will prevail. Then my turn. I expressed at that big gathering, peace will not come from as a blessing of God or Buddha. So peace must create by our own action. Prayer will not bring peace. Peace through action. So therefore, if we have opportunity meeting with Jesus Christ or Buddha or Muhammad, if you ask, please bring peace on this planet, then I think most probably Buddha and Jesus Christ and Muhammad may tell us, who creates violence? Who creates war? Not by God, but we created this violence. So we have the responsibility to reduce this violence and finally eliminate this kind of violence. So it is our responsibility. We indulge violence family level or community level or national level or international level and then pray to God. It's illogical. So we have to work with determination. Then there's a sufficient reason, as I mentioned earlier, it's a scientist, they consider basic human nature is more compassionate. So that's our hope. If basic human nature is anger, then no hope. But basic human nature is compassionate. Therefore, if we make attempt, there is real possibility to create a compassionate world. Now problem is existing education system not pay much attention about inner value. That's a mistake. We have to find, as I briefly mentioned, we have to find the education system should include some education about warm-heartedness, not based on religious belief, but based on scientific finding and our common experience and common sense. So, if we make attempt now, proper systematic plan, start now, I think within this century, later part of 21st century, can be more peaceful, more compassionate world. So, I think here, few thousand people. If I ask, you want more violent world or more peaceful world? I think everybody say peaceful world. Then, violence we started, we carried. So we must change our thinking. And the way to change our thinking, education is the key factor. So please think seriously about that. So that's my talk. Thank you. Now some question, answer. 거둬, 메로폰 거둬. 쭉 메로폰. Okay. Thank you. Please, sit down. Yes, those people who have some questions, come. Each side, some microphone here. So come. And some, I think, questions 다 묻을 동안. I wish you see. Yes. I wish you see more microphone. Then you see one, I think, this side, one that side, and then, if possible, the upper. Okay, so start question.
Yeah, go ahead. Is there one?
Okay. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, this is Gurinder Singh Khalsa. I represent the Sikh community here, and we are blessed with your presence here. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
But I have no other question. I just want to shake hand with you, if possible.
Charge down.
Of course.
Okay.
And for me, not only just shake hand, but I would like to touch your beard. Thank you. Then. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, no question.
Thank you. You were just talking about changing our world from one that is very violent into one that is peaceful. And I've read something you've written on your website about the realities of war and how we pride it as being courageous and heroic. And in truth, it's very tragic and affects all those around us. You said education is one way, but I wanted to see...
I think education is the only way.
The only way. That is my question. How do we convince the rest of the world that these things are not heroic, but they're tragic?
I think the generation who come through existing education system, not much sort of experience about this inner value, because lack of awareness about this system of emotion. So it's difficult, you see, to ask them change their mind. Impossible. So only hope is future generation, if we planned so systematic sort of way to educate younger generation, then the generation who come through that kind of education, then there is a real hope. So peaceful world, my lifetime, I think, very difficult to achieve. So, say, only hope is the present generation, particularly younger generation, if you make attempt now, the later part of 21st century could be more peaceful, more compassionate century. That's my view.
Thank you.
On this side.
Taji Dalek, Your Holiness.
Thank you.
Duimbe.
Kosa. You have to judge my face.
What can we do to cultivate more patience in this world?
I already mentioned.
Patience. No.
Ah,
Patience 답이죠.
patience. We have to investigate the nature of the problem. If the nature of the problem can overcome, then not necessarily patience, work hard. If the problem, no way to overcome, then patience, 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 tolerance, tolerance, like that. The 시월에서 개리쪄서요니 대림벽을 찾지고 개리쪄서면은 대림벽을 찾으면서 나오거든요.
So this is similar to Shantideva's advice that when you confront a situation that is very difficult, analyze the situation, and if there is a solution to the problem, then don't be overwhelmed, but make effort to resolve it. But if there isn't any solution to the problem, then there is no point in being overwhelmed and sad, and just be accepted and patient.
So compassion combined with wisdom is very, very important. And patience also as well. So here, compassion, our nature, we are social animal. We all come from our mother. Even animal, like dogs or cats and many birds, because they are survival, you see, compassion from their mother is very, very essential for survival, not for religion. They have no religion. So we also say, our survival very much related with affection. So the compassion by nature we have. Now that take as a seed, then use our intelligence. See how much useful that warm-heartedness and opposite anger, hatred, jealousy, how much harmful. Analyze by intelligence. So then our basic nature, compassion, must support by human intelligence. Now this is lacking. So at very young age, we very much appreciate mother's affection, mother's love. Eventually when we join our school and then gradually grown up in a society, materialistic society, with materialistic culture, then you see the basic the good quality then become dormant. Make money, not much relevant. So therefore, you see, our sort of certain positive, useful emotions must combine with our intelligence. So my own experience, see, a meditation, so single-pointed meditation, or even altruism, not directly sort of opposing these sort of destructive emotions. Analytical meditation, analyze, analytical meditation is really most powerful weapon against these destructive emotions. That much I can tell you through my own experience. So my case, I am Buddhist. So I use Buddhist sort of thinking,
Approach, no?
Buddhist philosophy. I think Christian, or those who theistic religion, I think you think we all creation of God, one source. God, nobody say God full anger. No, God infinite love. So we all created by such wonderful creator. And then that one way, you see, give us more sort of enthusiasm, practice love. Because God, almost like our Father, is infinite love. Then another thing, you see, we are tiny creature of God. The whole galaxy is created by God. We are just one tiny. So thinking that line, you see, it's very, very helpful to reduce the arrogance.
Self-importance.
So the Buddhists, you see, use no independent self, anathema theory. That was used to reduce their self-centered arrogance. The other traditions who believe creator, you can think that way. So these use our intelligence. Okay.
Dujiche.
You're Tibetan?
I'm married to a Kampa.
Oh, then your husband is your teacher
Yes.
to teach you Tibetan.
Yes, as you know, with Kampas, we need plenty of patience.
The patience karo kores.
Yes.
Your Holiness, 16 years ago, I had a personal crisis, and from that, I wanted and tried to take my own life. Then I saw an interview with you on television, and I have to be honest, the first thought I had was, this is another holy man trying to sell religion, and I thought you might be a liar like everyone else. And I spent the next 2 years in amazement reading your books and watching the change in my own heart, and my own happiness started to change. But it really...
Happiness.
2 years later, I met Geshe Jimpo Sonam, and my whole life over the next 14 years, every day is getting happier and happier. And I want to, thank you and Geshe-la publicly and personally. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Wonderful.
One of the key elements, if I had to narrow it down on what has made the biggest change in my life, it was something that I heard you say once about when there is suffering, the sense of self is at its strongest. And when there is joy, the sense of self is at its weakest. And I'd like to know if you would expand on that a little bit today. And could you also, has there been dialogue with scientists about this concept? Thank you.
One my great friend, one scientist, now very old, whether he's still alive or not, I don't know. When I met last time, you see his age already 97. So you see I think through many decades, he deal with people who have some sort of
mental health issues.
Mental health issue, mainly from anger. So he told me, when when person develop anger, the object appears very negative, but actually 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So this Buddhist psychology, Buddhist text also is mentioned that all destructive emotion based on such sort of ignorance, mental projection. The positive emotion, such as compassion, not attachment, genuine compassion, through training, use reason, these compassion are not based on ignorance. So that makes differences. So ignorance is
So when there is a distorted kind of perception involved, then the sense of self as a kind of a organizing principle is very strong.
Whether relevant or not, what Nagarjuna is mentioned,
So in Nagarjuna's text, he talks about how our actions are, motivated by, underlying emotions, and how destructive emotions arise as a result of our distortions in our mind, which ultimately results from a strong grasping at self and the object in front of us. So the fact is that many of the destructive emotions that we've experienced don't really have a sound basis in reality.
The champagne loro, the zurigdi, but the ninja the chamber said to the unbiased Yahushumbayina, Captain Samayori.
So, in contrast, if you look at loving kindness and compassion that have been deliberately cultivated as a human value, then these emotions tend to have a very sound grounding, and they tend to be more in tune with reality as well.
So, destructive emotion, ultimately weak. Positive emotion, ultimately more so.
Stable, stable, firm.
Stable, like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First, I'd like to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to address you in person. It's very humbling. Thank you. My question is kind of three parts. First, do you believe it's possible for any person to achieve enlightenment if they follow the right path? And second, is that the goal? Is that really what we should be striving for? Or is the simple meditation to achieve more compassion enough? Or should we really be searching for enlightenment? And is meditation the way to look inside ourselves? Is that the only way you see to find ourselves?
제가 자신 숨도. 직접 당부드려야 단데 지나다는 enlightenment 세저바. 디 top secret best 직체. 니버데 게데이나 아니 톱에데 미글 자야데 참여 제구요래야 미즈나로리 닝지 덴바 차야게 미유데 소나 디그리 베스. 아니 데게 로장제 미유 어떤 닝지 로장야래야 곰마도 탑지신다요 말레스.
Now I think this question quite complicated. So I think over 3,000 years, I think many intelligent human beings asking these questions. So different religions, different philosophy, you see, have different answer for that. So, as far as I think, according to Buddhist viewpoint, we call all sentient beings have the Buddha seed, Buddha seed of Buddha, or the very nature of subtle mind is concerned, that we call Buddha nature. So, this answer for first question. Then I think according theistic religion, We all created by God. So our ultimate source is infinite love. So that also gives us because of confidence. You see, God creates us with certain sort of
potential.
아,
potential.
do certain good things. So potential created by God Himself. The second part.
아니, 나한테 타버터베 미율 송구래야 니시드 나올래 얘기도 돼 맞지 미율 송은 되게 어려웠어.
Second part.
다르잖아.
I usually telling, as a Buddhist, there could be two levels of salvation,
liberation, spiritual liberation,
or moksha. So one individual moksha, that is, you see, another level of moksha. It may take many lives. Another moksha, salvation, is happy world. So therefore, I think the Nagarjuna stated, Rijitana Sonyari,
So, for example, the Buddhist master Nagarjuna speaks of two levels of aspirations for a spiritual practitioner. One is the immediate, goal of attainment of, fortunate existence, to be able to pursue the Dharma.
Happy life.
Happy life. And then the second, the more ultimate goal is to attain enlightenment.
자상가다 디 된다라 디 줍지도 가렸을나 균적이 땡중 따와 디 토네 아니 디군 기주체니 먼저 주야 먼저 디기 주야 선딩 먼저 디기요지 치멀리 먼저 토야지 때에다가 땡중 된 사람이 내리 주야 디송도.
So then he identifies what are the key methods to attain these two levels of aspirations of a spiritual practitioner. So for the attainment of the first goal, which is the happy life, the important teaching is, the philosophy is the dependent origination in terms of cause and effect, particularly respecting the law of cause and effect and karma, and living a moral life, ethically sound life, which then leads to the fulfillment of that goal. And by cultivating the understanding of the dependent origination in terms of absence of independent existence, which is the teaching on no self and emptiness, then one is able to cultivate the means to attain the highest goal of attainment of liberation, enlightenment.
So, thank you.
고민지미지.
가.
고민지미지 야구를
오,
했어.
오, 오.
고마도.
Third point.
고마도 탑시신다 요 말을 했어.
There are, according to Buddhist tradition, as I mentioned earlier, warm-heartedness, altruism is metta side. Wisdom side, understanding about shunyata,
Ultimate
selflessness. So these must combine. That's the proper way. So meditation can apply both sides. But the wisdom side is mainly analytical meditation. We call vipassana.
Thank you.
Okay. And I may add, you see, we have this marvelous brain. So just sort of thoughtlessness state of meditation, and sometimes wasting our brain. So must analyze, then must give work of brain. Otherwise,
Thank you.
Your Holiness, my name is Claire, and I actually don't even live in Indiana. I flew in last night to visit my parents. My dad's in the audience, but I grew up in Indiana and graduated from Indiana University School of Medicine in '98 and left. But I live in Orlando, and you know that we've been through a lot of hurt in the last 2 weeks, and we had the mass shooting. So there's so much hurt in our town, in our world, and I just wanted to know if you could give a message to the people of Orlando and everything that they've been going through.
Yes. I expressed to your President Obama when I heard that. And then, now, there's no other way, just
Pray.
express my condolence
Condolence.
and prayer. So those, the relatives who remain, or friends who remain, now, instead of worry, sadness, I think they must think how to change that kind of sort of
Culture now.
that kind of sort of
Society.
So as I already mentioned, you see, we have to individual, you see, we cannot sort of blame those individuals who involve criminal work. So they grown up a society where not much talk about this inner value. I feel, see, ultimately blame or criticism should go our sort of education system or our sort of way of life. Too much materialistic way of life. So that, I think, have the responsibility. So we have to think how to change that step by step. So I want to share.
If one can turn the tragic situation into an opportunity to really awaken something, that would be really wonderful.
And bring more enthusiasm, more determination. For example, when my tutor, main tutor, till he alive, I always feel something, a solid rock I can lean. When he passed away, that no longer. So a lot of worry, a lot of sadness. But then, now no use, sadness. I must determine to fulfill my late tutor's wish. He very much loved me. So I must fulfill, you see, his sort of wish. So the sadness event, sadness event translate for determination. So those people, I want to share that.
Thank you. I also have one other quick question. I wanted to know if I could take a selfie. You don't even have to move. I want to take a photo.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
When I'm with others, I find it very easy to be loving. I can see the effect of love on them and I can feel it. However, when I'm with myself, the motivation to love myself is difficult to find sometimes. Do you have any advice for me or people like me?
That's a strange question. I think the very factor with survival is self-love. Without that, I think entire humanity,
the very fact that we are surviving means there is at some level a sense of caring for oneself.
From the religious viewpoint, according to theistic, we created by God infinite love. So we all have the seed of love. And for that, firstly, love oneself. Someone hated oneself, then impossible to extend love to other. So in order to practice love, first take care of yourself. That must be there. And then I think Darwinian theory.
Even from an evolutionary Darwinian theory point of view, evolution is driven by, kind of quest for flourishing.
So I think, you see, sometimes I feel, you see, there are some people self-hatred. I think deep inside, you see, out of selfish, I want to be something extraordinary. So when that did not achieve, then self-hatred.
So maybe there is a sort of a disparity in the expectation that you have at some level and sense of disappointment of that. And this is when some kind of hatred directed to oneself may arise.
I don't know. Maybe wrong. I don't know. Thank you.
You're right on. Thank you.
Namaste, Jai Shri Krishna. I'm Rupal Thanawala from Indianapolis, and I can say that I represent Asian American Alliance and my Hindu temple. I'm very, very thankful for you sharing the message of Hinduism and our Indian culture in just 60 minutes, which we just did a survey, and first Indian probably came to Indiana 60 years back. And what message we could not share with this Hoosier community, you did very beautifully. The message of the world is talking about diversity, where our country is talking about inclusiveness, where not only multiple religion coexist, but we actually have given them a soil to actually the foundation of this multiple religion. So I'm very thankful to you for sharing the message. My country got the freedom by fighting without, like, non-violence fight, and so is your country doing. So first of all, I pray God that Tibetans do get freedom by non-violence. And it is very hard for all of us, who is not only just in this room, but all of us, to relate to the concept of non-violence when there is a violence happening every minute. So I would really like to learn from you, what is the lesson and the principles? How are you driving your movement of non-violence? Because that's something we really need, not only for us, for the next generations also. Thank you.
So again, I feel sense of violence never takes place out of compassion. Violence happens out of anger, jealousy, and fear. So the violence not come from gun or some weapon, but user, the person, because user, you see, full of anger, fear, then use, you see, these instruments. So therefore, as I mentioned earlier, the peaceful world must come through inner peace. So violence and non-violence, final demarcation is not external expression, but mental level. Any sort of motivation, such as anger, hatred, jealousy, and want to cheat other people, and want to exploit other people, take advantage of other people, and such motivation, any action, essentially violence. Then out of sense of concern of others' well-being, sometimes like the teacher, genuine sensible teacher, as well our parent, sometimes you see they take a little bit of sort of harsh word, or sometimes negative sort of angry face. but out of sense of concern of student or children's well-being. Actually, that's non-violence. So real demarcation of violence, non-violence is not depend on action, but depend on motivation. So the promotion of non-violence, we have to go the promotion of compassion, like that. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Hi. First of all, I would like to say what a privilege it is to have been able to hear you speak today. But my question for you is, might be a bit long-winded, but as Palestinians are unable to return to their homes, as black men across America are being shot by cops, and as refugees are washing up on shore of Europe, there are people such as Frantz Fanon who have advocated for violence against oppressors. Is there a time when you believe that that is justifiable? Or if not, how do you personally come to terms with telling people to be comfortable with their oppression, especially as I can see that you have Secret Service protecting you, so you have advantages that maybe others do not.
제외 그거 매매나 아니 구조다 두분야년 돌다 결혼도 두분야에 두부 크는 데서 차도로 왔어. 그것도 막 붙일려야 돼.
So theoretically speaking, sometimes you see too much suppression, then in order to against that, sometimes more wrathful method,
strong measure,
strong measure, also permissible, possible. So in such sort of circumstances, we must make a distinction, actor and action. The person who suppress you. As far as that action is concerned, we have to take countermeasure to stop them, to stop that wrongdoing, but without losing compassion towards that person or that people. So here, for action, we have to take countermeasure. The actor, still human being, our brothers, sisters, due to certain circumstances, certain causes, they carry that kind of unlawful action. But still human being. So therefore, we can keep compassion. So for actor is concerned, compassion. For action is concerned, countermeasure. That's very possible. This, with the help of human intelligence, we have that ability to do that. That's a right approach and a realistic approach. And there is sufficient reason to feel more sense of concern of those wrongdoing. Ultimately, they themselves suffer or have to face negative consequences. So there is a reason to feel sense of compassion, sense of well-being of them. Out of that motivation, in order to stop their wrongdoing, sometimes you need some harsh method, like that.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Your Holiness. My name is Alex. I'm from Elista, Kalmykia.
Oh.
Have you ever heard about this? It's not a question, it's a favor to you.
Elista.
No.
Elista. Yes, I have been.
Kalmykia.
Yes, I have been.
So it's not a question, it's a favor. Since I was a little kid, you came to our republic a couple of times.
Yes.
I was a very small kid and I didn't even understand what the Buddhism is. But then I became very interested in Buddhism, and at that point in time, officials did not allow you to go inside.
Right.
Yes. And my dream, since I was the Buddhist, since I become a consciousness Buddhist, it was just to shake your hand. That was my dream of all my life.
you are quite short. So, think it out. That's okay now. Okay. Thank you. Yes, next question.
Hello, thank you very much for the opportunity to ask you questions and for coming to Indianapolis today. I actually wrote mine out because I didn't want to get twisted. My question has two components. One is more conceptual in nature. The other one is more tangible, if you would. Even if all humans and all of humanity are able to embrace a sense of unconditional love at an individual level, does the state still have an obligation to harbor some fear or mistrust in order to be able to defend against those inevitably mischievous individuals? In terms of a tangible example, if there is the opportunity to share a technology in the name of compassion that could be potentially used mischievously, do we always have the moral obligation to share that technology?
그래서
Termsnirja chikdi ketes
이정신.
gerki chane metsamani lao de chebene kunaya shungda jizo chane taksung nyaya da migan junne
아니, 네 보면 그죠?
동년 친해
저도 설마. Right, yes, with the head, I didn't recognize, yes. And you must show your head. Then yes, now I recognize, I realize. My long-time friend. Your wife also. Oh, okay.
디 아니 간다 지소 코랑 그 차네 득주 차네 아니 탁송 고에데 고에
그 state 메마 여셔서. I think the state actually the body which people elected a democratic sort of country, and then so long the humanity not much sort of practice about the compassion. Then there are some mischievous people and lawlessness. So state, you see, have to act according to that. But then people, as we already mentioned or discussed, through education, eventually more compassionate society develop. Then state also become, not necessary some of these
if the society, individuals in the society change, then the state must also reflect that changed nature, because some of these harsher measures may be irrelevant.
I think one time Costa Rica demilitarized the nation. That does not mean, you see, the whole country, there are no mischievous people. So, small police force with certain sort of weapons in order to deal. So I think world eventually should be demilitarized world. Then, you see, that does not mean entire 7 billion more compassionate or more peaceful. Some small mischievous people always there. So in order to tackle that, some mobile force with helicopter like that, and deal some mischievous sort of activities. But overall, then you see, no possibility of war, mobilized huge sort of large scale killing. That, you see, we can eliminate through education. We cannot say entire 7 billion eventually be compassionate. That's difficult. So we need some practical sort of solutions too. Like that. That's my view. Second part.
technology. 막 변도 제 누버 요버체 다양 배주 로고 제게 자견주 요버예나 그 지솔 팽그 요버자 다 닝지 다 데고 돈 이지 미지 빼고 그러면서 빼야
I think it is by nature 100% positive impossible. 100% negative also impossible. 다 야치존 쓰주래. 대북 기회.
So this is in response to your second
Yeah,
part of the
the
question,
conundrum.
technology. Yeah. So one has to look, judge by the situation and the context.
I think our daily food, not very sure, 100% something benefit to our body. You see, I think you quite thin, okay. So some people is overweight or overweight. You see, due to always take something. So suppose it's good for our body, but also it's some side effect for our body. So like that. But then, it is sort of silly to say, oh, there is some side effect. I don't want that. It's extreme. And this is something very good for me. Is that without discrimination? That also wrong, isn't it? That's my view. Things are relative. There are positives, negative. And that, because you see, it is, why it is relative is due to that, under that circumstances, certain action is right. Under different circumstances, same action becomes wrong. So everything interdependent, interconnected.
Who is responsible for determining from which perspective that relativity should be selected? Because from the individual who holds the power, it may not be relative to them valuable to share, but the individual who does not hold the power may consider there to be value there. Is it our individual responsibility to look at both perspectives, or is it the responsibility of a governing body to make that decision?
다음에 다주를 수치고 나서 펜도요 마요다 포장을 보세요. 그렇게 미결게 소소도는 따고고나 양지소 그 대전식 돈 따고고나서.
I think country as a whole, we must have organization who look after nation. So that we call government. That government through election. Now you are American, quite busy to choose your next president. So I think that is one beauty of democratic system. You see, leader elected by people. So the leader automatically means accountable.
Become accountable to the public.
To the public. So public have sort of power. And if necessary, like I think in Nixon's time, impeachment. Very good. So that means, you see, ultimately, power in your people's hand. I think democratic system, in spite of some drawbacks here and there, I think best system. So therefore, you see, last 4 centuries, Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that, since 2000, I took that responsibility 60 years. Then, because of the 2011, I totally retired or relinquished.
No, relinquished the political authority.
So now I have 4th century old tradition. Not only I myself retired, but also, you see, cease that system. So sometimes I jokingly telling people, this system, 4 centuries ago, the 5th Dalai Lama started this sort of system. So now suppose me, 14th Dalai Lama, now voluntarily, proudly, happily ended. So if 5th Dalai Lama return, what he will say? But there is no danger to reappear 5th Dalai Lama. So I am freedom. I have the freedom. So I cease deliberately, that system. So there, because I love democracy, I really admire democratic system. So then you should choose right people, your leader, right people.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi. Firstly, thank you so much. I agree with your wanting to kind of also look at things scientifically. And in that vein, I work in a hospital and I see different people in compromised positions, obviously. And the people that are very successful are people not based on religion or any race, anything like that, but their positive attitude. And the people that heal better are people with a positive attitude. And I was wondering, by any chance, in all your extra time, do you talk with scientists, and are you open to a
yes.
study on how a lifetime of compassion, maybe how your brain looks or how your organs look? Or
Since my childhood, I have keen interest about nature and also small toys. Some
mechanics,
no.
mechanical objects, yeah.
So my curiosity, how it works. Then some of these toys, there's some little motor.
Motor, yeah.
So it worked with some battery. So I developed interest about electricity. So I developed interest about science. And then after I came to India, more opportunity. So now last 30 years, I have serious discussion with scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So very helpful. After more than 30 years, serious discussion with scientists, it become very clear, mutual benefit. We learn many useful information from them. To them, they also found useful information about psychology, these things. With scientists, I never discuss about next life or salvation, these things. This is something exclusive, but common also because of the subject we discuss. So very helpful.
Good.
So sometimes the late Varela,
Francisco Varela,
a great scientist, at the same time Buddhist. So he used to say a certain comment when he give, he say, now with Buddhist cap. Then another sort of subject start. Then he now cap of scientist. So now, some extent, I also do that.
Okay.
So I have 2 caps, because of
scientist,
scientist cap and
Buddhist.
Buddhist cap.
Thank you very much for wearing those caps.
And actually, I think I never sort of propagate Buddha Dharma in, non-Buddhist country. And I never feel so one religion is best. I never say that. Best means according one individual to some individual, this religion is best, we can say. But in terms of community, this religion is best, we cannot say. So therefore, the Western nation, historically, the Judeo-Christian background and to some extent Islam. So it is much better, safer to keep your own faith, much better. However, you see, one, I think, unique thing in Buddha's teaching, he mentioned, oh, my follower, monks, students or scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather critical sort of investigation and experiment. So that's very similar, that of scientific way of approach. At the beginning, you remain skepticism. Me also, some, you see, I feel a little shy in the front of some Buddhist brothers. Sometimes you see Buddha's Jataka story. Oh, Jataka.
Buddha's previous life stories.
Oh. Sometimes I'm a little skeptical whether that's true or not. So the Buddha's teaching, shunyata, anathma theory, yes, we can prove that with reason, and the reason based on our own kasota experience. So these on his teaching, wonderful. Some of the story, sometimes I don't know. Because the research Lama Tabachingi, Lama Sobol Tansach.
There's in fact a Tibetan saying that too much devotion on the part of the students may spoil the teacher and turn him into a sort of a charlatan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Holiness. Namaste. In the Christian tradition, a lot of it's talked about, forgiveness is talked about a lot. And how do you, like I saw the movie 10 Questions for the Dalai Lama, and one of the interviews was with one of the monks that had been tormented in China. And that they come to you in India, and when you talk with them, they are able to let go of those resentments and grant forgiveness. So could you tell us a little bit about how that works for you personally and how you help others with that? And then my second question is, if you were an American, who would you vote for president?
First question.
Forgiveness. Forgiveness, forgiveness.
Yes.
The Kasanyamata Kundulia Kadi Chushu, but you Lonya Tebins, Nalia Perne, Tubunyan, Tabatade, Koranzu Kundun Jeja, and the Camelia do Dansemti, Mashisons, and Sabatetus, and Lagutus. These are the Kundun and Titolia, Madis Yamena, as the Session Rogers, and Tuanibati Ari.
So, first part, not just my advice. You see, 2,000 years old, the Buddhist tradition. So, I think I can tell you, one old monk, I know him before 1959. Then after 59, he remained Chinese gulag about 18 years, 17 or 18 years in Chinese gulag. So in early 80, he come to India. He got the permission come to India. Since we know each other before, very close, one old monk, a wonderful monk. So then he told me during, I think 17 or 18 years in Chinese gulag, he faced some dangers. And I thought maybe danger on his life. And I asked him, what kind of danger? Then he answered, danger of losing compassion towards Chinese perpetrator. So they consider, you see, forgiveness is very key, sort of important practice. So losing compassion towards Chinese perpetrators, he considered dangerous. So as a result, now his age, now 90, almost 99-year-old, is his mind clear and physical.
Except for a bent kind of back because of his years of labor in the gulag.
Like that. Then many other they mentioned to me during their experience in Chinese prison or Gulag. They say, best period for practice of altruism, like that. So this is not something because of my idea. Simply, you see, 1,000-year-old Buddhist teaching, like that. Then second question, I wish I should be American citizen. Then I have the right to vote. So I am not American citizen, so I am neutral.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, next question.
Thank you for being here this afternoon. It's just an honor, tremendously. I know that many millions of people the world over, if they were asked to name one or two people who they could meet to learn from and perhaps to teach, they would probably say your name. My question to you is, if you could name one or two people in the world today who you would love to meet, who you would love to teach or perhaps learn from, who would those people be and why would you choose them?
I think among the scientists,
among the scientists, Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking.
Those things. I admire, you see, his very sort of brilliant sort of brain.
Mind. No.
In spite of his physical like that. So I would like to meet him. This is one thing. Then, among the spiritual leaders, of course, I always say want to meet spiritual leaders and sort of exchange our views, our experiences. In the past, I met many spiritual leaders. As a result, I get much sort of inspiration. Like the previous late Pope, I usually call Polish Pope. Wonderful, really wonderful. So like that. So, and then among the, then of course, the Martin Luther King, Marbe. I did not met, but I met his widow, his wife. I have deep sort of admiration. You see, his sort of the vision, you see, his thinking, wonderful. So, although I did not met him personally, but I met his wife, like that. And then I think today, among the living Bishop Tutu, I really love him. He often, you see, when we met, he often described me mischievous Dalai Lama. So then I respond, I consider you mischievous bishop.
It's good to be mischievous.
So automatically, logically, two mischievous people come good and become a very close, good friend.
Thank you.
And among the leaders of today's world, I have some admiration about German Chancellor.
Angela Merkel. The German Chancellor, yeah.
Before he became Chancellor, as his he as I think opposition to the party, I met. Then after she became president, also I had a sort of meeting. As a result of that meeting, we both got a lot of criticism from Chinese government.
Mischievous again.
So, recent sort of refugee crisis, she used the word compassion. I really impressed, like that. And then many other leaders, including your own President Obama. I really have admiration, respect. Then, next question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste and hello, Your Holiness. My name is Manisha, and I live here in Indianapolis. I'd like to start by asking you for your blessings for a peaceful and happy
Certainly.
life. Thank you. And my question comes from the heart of a mother. I'm a mother, which has been one of my greatest blessings in life. And, children innately have all those qualities that you espouse and try to cultivate in humanity, innate joyfulness and loving hearts, and they live in the present. They're so pure and innocent. And what can we do to continue to cultivate and retain those qualities, even as they're exposed to the harsh realities of the world in which we live, whether it be in their very own home environment, if they see conflict or anger, or whether it be outside? But how do we continue to cultivate those qualities so that they can retain that and, turn into loving human beings and adults?
네 주소 나로야 살론 제베가베 나리 내고 강에 제베다 치로 주소 두두르데 랑체소 예버데 마냥 바지제 못주네 배토야 답시 가려나 스포즈네.
As far as I know, you see, the parent, particularly mother, must provide maximum affection, love. Then spend more time with children. That I think, for my own sort of experience, first my teacher of loving kindness is my mother. So, and then also according to some scientific research, mother's own milk, very important for children. Sometimes,
sometimes, the families who are a bit more materially prosperous tend to actually rely more on external, milk like formula or animal, cow milk.
So now I think many questioners, so I do not go detailed, but one occasion in Delhi, you see, interfaith meeting. You as an Indian, and some Indians here, the Kashmir Raja, sort of great scholar, and also you see in sometime politician like that. So since 1956, we know each other, and eventually we become a very good friend. So one occasion in Delhi, interfaith meeting, he was there. I'm just beside him, and I tease him as a human being. The receiving mother's own milk. I come from very poor family. I received much more blessing from mother's milk than you. He, son of sort of some small kingdom, traditionally small kingdom. So as a sort of son of that sort of Raja, so I think
probably, the prince was really brought up and nurtured by wet nurse rather than his own mother.
So as far as that sort of respect is concerned, I am much more fortunate. Sorry, there are so many sort of questioners now. I think from here to only 4. Sorry. Really, I'm sorry.
So
Thank you. Now you start.
Your Holiness, 10 years ago, when your friend Heinrich passed away, you said in 1949, when I first met him, he was from a world that I was not familiar with. Today you have talked to us about interconnectedness. So will you speak personally about what his relationship with you taught you about interconnectedness in the world?
Henry Harris. Oh, Henry Harris. I think first person who informed me about Europe. So I really feel grateful. And then I also used to learn some English word from him. But later I know he learned English after he reached Lhasa. So his English, I think not
very good.
Not very good, I think. But important is till his last breath, you see, he remained very, very close friend of Tibet, and me also. So I always remember him. He, I think, helped much to know,
to bring awareness,
more awareness about
Tibet,
about Western world, like that.
Okay, next.
You? Thank you. You?
When I found out that
Oh, louder.
Here. When I found out that I was gonna go see you and listen to you talk, I was really excited, and I wanted to do a little bit of research on you and your past. And I found out that you were chosen to be the Dalai Lama at a very young age. What was it like to be appointed to such a high status at that early in your life?
When I was young, of course, I'm not much concerned about the recognition of Dalai Lama or something like that. But as I mentioned earlier, my mother, very, very kind. So I must say, one happy child because of my mother's kindness. My father, occasionally, a little bit blessing, like that. So at that time, I don't like my father. Then came to Lhasa, start study, age 6, 7, then start study. So I was very, very lazy student and very, very reluctant for study. Then age about 13, 14, then I developed some enthusiasm within study. So then I carry more serious study. Then age 16, I got the responsibility. People give me responsibility about temple Kasoda.
Leadership.
Leadership. And the situation also become then difficult. So then, 1951, I got this responsibility. Then 52, I start reform committee. As I mentioned earlier, my attraction about democracy developed around that period. So existing Tibetan government system, there are many drawbacks. Because the reason, power in the hands of few people. So I felt we need change, reform. Then 1952, around 52, I set up reform committee, try to carry some reform. And then become not very successful. Then 54, went to China, Peking, met Chairman Mao Zedong. And I think I want to share my young sister, my relation with Chairman Mao Zedong eventually become like relation between father and son. It's in my mind, more scientific way. So Chairman Mao loved that. So eventually he trusted me. So a lot of meaningful conversation and received advice from him.
From him.
Very happy moment. Then come back, 1955. Then end of 55, some open revolt started from eastern part of Tibet. Then things become difficult. Then 56, I came to India. And I have the opportunity making competition, communist system, a democratic system. So India system. So one occasion, Prime Minister Zhou Enlai came to Delhi with Vice President Holong, Marshal Holong. So then I visited the Chinese embassy in New Delhi and some talk, Chinese Prime Minister. And I told him, the atmosphere of our parliament in Peking and the parliament in India, big differences. Indian parliament full of noise. A lot of discussions, criticisms like that. In our parliament in China, much disciplined. More or less was a silence. I also noticed, you see, when I was in session in Chinese parliament, you see, many, my friend, old the gentlemen. So when the leader make long speech, then many of these lead parliament member sleep. So I mentioned Zhou Enlai. You see, there is big differences. Then Zhou Enlai respond to me, since you left, our parliament also much changed. Zhou Enlai told me like that. So one sort of opportunity, make comparison. Then, beginning of 57, I returned to Tibet. According Pandit Nehru's, India's Prime Minister, Nehru's advice, I returned. Pandit Nehru really takes serious sort of concern. So he carried one copy of 17-point agreement. You see, some clauses he marked. And he said, on basis of this clause, you see, you have to try to take some sort of
steps.
Steps like that. So then, rest of 57, things become worse and worse. Then 58, very difficult. The Kham area crisis reached Amdo area. So many people killed, many sort of monastery destroyed, like already started destruction. Then finally, 1959, there's no other way except escape. And since 1959, we become refugee. Like that. In the meantime, India's freedom really gives me wonderful opportunity meeting with different people, different sort of profession or different sort of background, including scientists, and many different sort of religious practitioners. Of course, religious leader also, you see, there. But I have main sort of interest is genuine practitioner of these different religious traditions. Muslim, Hindus, and Christians, and Sikhs are really very, very useful to gain, to exchange different sort of experience and because of that, different thoughts like that. So my life, through that way, quite a busy way. Now I realize I reach 81-year-old. Like that. So you, as a young sister, you see, should think more seriously what I mentioned before. These, of course, some sort of influence from Buddhist teaching, but mainly through my own experience. So we are same human being. When I give talk, I never consider I'm something special. We all, actually, 7 billion human beings, mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. We all, you see, have desire to achieve happy life, and we all have a right to achieve that goal. The problem is we do not seriously realize the real sort of source of our happiness, our happy life. That's problem. So I try to make clear ultimate source of happiness, not outside, but within ourselves. So please think more seriously. Okay. So my young sister should become constructive women, not destructive women.
Dalai Lama, I was fortunate to be grown up and brought up spiritually by my elders, 80s, 90s, and I never heard them argue against anybody.
그래서 그러나서 지그질이야 자리 잡았던 통마선스 자리 잡았던 통마선스 지그질이야 그랑단 라마스
자리 잡았던 통마선스. Yes.
So being born in the body I am. I'm getting there. You have to wait, please. I beg. You know your age is past mine. As an elder, that's the beauty of growing old. Patience is a beautiful gift that sometimes we all don't get. Being born in the skin I am, but still being taught about the greater good. How do then we who seek it work with those who do not seek it for us?
What question?
들으셨는데 마시고 고란 메리나부르와 메리나부도 데레그 토네 디토네 강에지 태기 어레스 이네다 간다 고란기 디기 쳐야다 대외람 쳐야 간다 추적부터는 제야 제거데 망미망 붙이기 디 쳐야 돼 내가 통금도 다들 가와 자고 그랬어 고란 개치 모임 보통 현다주 통고 통도요 말았어
통단수
말에 디기 그다 쳐그 람거도는 디기 쳐야 저 봐. 디 쳐야 돼. 대바 쳐야 돼. 대바 현다 주고 디 개심을 찍으면도 다들 가리나스. 그러니까 메가시가 통만.
That's I think as I already mentioned, our society more materialistic culture, materialistic life. So I think majority of the people not much pay attention about our inner value. That's why you see a lot of problem a lot of man-made problem we are facing. So due to lack of moral principle. So, as your own experience, when you saw more people not much pay attention, that, you see, should use
to encourage, to empower and encourage you further.
Good. Thank you.
One more question from an elder who gave it to me. She wanted to know whether you received the picture of Muhammad Ali and yourself.
Muhammad Ali. I met few occasions Muhammad Ali. I really also admire him. As a person, I admire, not his that kasa,
Boxing.
That knowledge or
That skill. That skill.
So I met few occasions. Wonderful person. Wonderful person.
But Dalai Lama, this elder said she sent you a picture and she wanted to know whether you've received it. It's not my question. I have to respect my elders, and that's what she asked me to ask you.
When you send?
It's not me. Where is it?
Oh, then okay. Later, I will get.
Yeah.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
This has to be the last question.
Now, last question. Yes.
Last question.
Yes.
What does it feel like to carry around such vast spiritual wisdom?
Wisdom
My daily practice, my daily life. Firstly, I love sleep. So sometimes I myself describe Dalai Lama of sleep. So can you believe each night 9 hours sleep? What do you think? Too much? Almost like a baby, 9 hours sleep. Then getting very early morning, 2:30, always. About 6, go to sleep. Then 2:30, 3, wake up. Get up. Then meditation. Mainly, as I often mentioned, analytical meditation. For example, this morning, you see, while I meditate, and then namya seche, namya seche.
So after about 2 hours, it was getting bright, light, and the sun was rising.
Then, looking from the window, you say, I too much sort of analytical meditation about emptiness. Nothing objectively exists. So because of that sort of, because of the awareness or feeling,
contemplation.
you know what does it? I thought he didn't want to raw samarji. That so
this morning, as the sun was rising, and so as the sun was rising and I was looking out of the window, because of this contemplation on the absence of independent existence and in the substantial nature of the reality, it felt as if I was looking at something that looked like an illusion, that has an illusion-like quality, but at the same time I had to in fact bring a second thought saying, yes, this is still real.
So therefore,
so in this way, you get this, perception of a combination of appearance, but also absence of independent existence, the union of appearance as well as reality.
So this practice, now over 30 years, is my interest to develop over 30 years. Then series of some experience about 40 years ago, some experience developed. Then last, I think 20 years, 15, 20 years, is a much deeper sort of experience. So this, I found really very, very sort of the powerful effect, my sort of emotion, particularly destructive emotions, such as anger, attachment, like that. So that understanding, not just a philosophical sort of understanding, but really affect my emotion. So you can call me, Kasoda, fairly good practitioner of Buddhist. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to present the financial statement of today's event. My name is Rebecca Bull, and on behalf of the Indiana Buddhist Center, the Center for Interfaith Cooperation and Compassionate Indy, I would like to thank you for coming here today and for your wisdom and your words. We're grateful to be able to host quite a few of our local and regional Tibetan community. We have over 200 here today from our local region as well as immediate states, and we appreciate them being here and sharing their Tibetan culture with us. That enriches us all. The financials for today's event. The three organizing groups had a single pointed wish to share today with as many people as possible. We kept our prices as low as we could, and volunteers offered their time and expertise to bring the day together. So we'd like to thank everyone who was involved. We distributed a total of 6,420 tickets for today's event, and the total of ticket sales was $192,435. Expenses for this event, which includes things like security, apparently really good air conditioning, the venue costs, audio, insurance, as well as the travel and hotel costs for His Holiness and his attendants for this weekend, came to a total of $182,463.58, which leaves an anticipated surplus of $9,970. So once all of the costs have been paid, a final copy of the financial report will be sent to His Holiness's office. It will also be available to anyone who would like to see it on the Indiana Buddhist Center website. Should there indeed be any surplus funds remaining, the remainder will remain in central Indiana and will be given to charitable organizations that are dedicated to furthering compassion in our local and global community. I would also must thank you for Geshe Jepasonam, as he is a wonderful teacher, and we are so blessed to have him here. And also for having you here today. So please come back to Indiana very soon. Please remain until samsara ends. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance today.
가. 나 도시 눈이 되버리. 나 도시 눈이 되었어. I will go this way. So thank you very much. So those people who really feel something agreeable, is those point which I mentioned, then please think yourself more seriously and try to share to more people. And we all, as I mentioned earlier, we all have common responsibility to build happy world. In order to create happy world, we must make compassionate world. That I want to tell you. And then those people who have not much interest, then no need seriousness about that. And you carry your own daily life, including nightclub. Call it that.